Hi folks, you're with Tacitus Today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio radio no pictures live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about like a lunch party barbecue thing, social gathering that we attended recently, and one of the people there was a woman in her 50s. She's white, straight as far as I can tell, who is in charge of, or is very senior in, if you like, the primary propaganda department of one of the biggest media outlets in Australia, which is very left leaning, and she works in the drama development department. So these guys, they do news, but they also develop or make documentaries, soap operas, drama shows, and docudramas, that sort of thing. So, and she's one of the heavies working in that department, very well paid too, as I understand it, and her only job is to push out anti-straight white male propaganda and be paid a lot of money for it. Anyway, none of these people know that I do these videos, nor what I ever say. So I'm your classic sort of, I don't know, undercover agent, I guess, gathering information for my next video. You have to be quite careful because if you question these people or illustrate to any great extent you have a different point of view than they do, then they can get quite upset, or they just clam up and don't say anything. Remember, these people only hang around with other people that completely and totally share their point of view. You don't have to explain. You just have to say, mention the name of a centre-right politician, and the whole audience just groans and rolls their eyes, and Hitler, fascist, Nazi, white supremacist, far right, and so on. So it's and they all do it on cue. They're like a bunch of fucking robots. But anyway, so I'm in there, the insurgent, no less, and so we're talking about, or the subject comes up of how happy these people are that the new series of Doctor Who and other stuff was mentioned. The original topic was, and I suppose I should start with that really. Is it justifiable to shoehorn hysterical propaganda into entertainment franchises, and in particular entertainment franchises that were built up by delivering good storylines, good stories, good writing, good scripts, and they just so happened that along with those good scripts came the straight white male hero and this sort of stuff. So so is it okay on these franchises that have been built up over years and have got a reputation for good entertainment? Well, it doesn't matter if it's Doctor Who or Star Wars or Star Trek or something. Should they be used without it being announced? The duplicity of it. Should they be used as propaganda delivery systems in order to blame, shame, humiliate straight white males? Then now the people there were very much yes, of course that's acceptable. Now I was particularly interested in her opinion, given the job she's got, because she signs off on the budgets to do this sort of thing. So she's very much that, well, we have to. So I sort of tried to weave it into the conversation because I got her to sort of one side as maybe another couple of people were listening. So I had to, again, you got to approach this carefully. But I said, well, one of the things that came up were, well, black lesbians don't see themselves in these programs, and black lesbians should see themselves in these programs. Black lesbians do not see themselves in these programs. Therefore, this is the big problem. So this is the rationale they use. Black lesbians are not represented. Black lesbians should be represented. therefore something must be done. Panic, panic, emergency, emergency. So that's the kind of logical process they use. The original thing is black lesbians should be represented in these places. So hold on a minute, why? Why should black lesbians be? So anyway, it came up. So it came up talking about these programs as propaganda delivery, and they were adamant that it was okay for two reasons. One is the minority groups that are being shoehorned in should be able to see themselves represented in order to feel included. Now, I don't know how many black lesbians there are in the community, given that these countries were all white and any black lesbians have been imported in, then why should the white society have to completely change their behaviour to accommodate the black lesbians that were imported in the first place, and some would argue shouldn't be here anyway. Putting that aside, though, these people don't see themselves represented, so of course there should be a gay black doctor, because gay black people want to be represented and have a right to be represented in all entertainment. Well, do they have that right? Where does that right come from? So we could argue that, but if I push back on that score, then they'll sort of that'll out me as someone that doesn't share their point of view. And one thing they will not tolerate is being around people that don't share their point of view. I mean, they talk about being open, inclusive, and no, these people are definitely not inclusive. So first thing is that these people the black lesbians should be represented in these entertainment franchises. So my sort of question was, well, why don't you do three versions of Doctor Who? One is the standard version as it was originally conceived and written, and then you do a lesbian version, a gay version, a black lesbian version, that sort of thing. So then every group in society can be catered for. They'll have their own version of Doctor Who, and so therefore everyone can be included. Now, this was roundly poo-pooed, so for two reasons. One is they said, well, if we openly declare that this is the black lesbian version of Doctor Who, nobody will watch it. There's hardly any black lesbians around, and so we'd be making a show for just a handful of people. The economics don't stack up. Well, if there's hardly any people that are black lesbians, why would you need to have a black lesbian Doctor Who in the first place? That's because of inclusion. All right, well, let's come back to the inclusion thing. So they can argue both sides, saying, well, it just wouldn't be economical to have a black lesbian Doctor Who show, dedicated to that. So we have to have one for the economics, or we have one show, and that show must be the vehicle to deliver the wokeism, black lesbians and trans this and so on, so that, and that all has to be delivered in the program. So, all right, then, well, if 85% of your audience, 90% of your audience is the straight white males that you so despise, then why would you cater to the minority group at all? Because of inclusion. So the logic is circular and self-defeating. If you alienate your straight white male audience, then the economics still don't stack up because you're alienating your viewers. Why would you do that? Well, you see, if white people don't watch the show, the one that pushes black lesbian propaganda, if the white people don't watch the show, then that's because they're Nazis and they should be subject to this propaganda anyway, and they should be forced to see it. So they accept that duplicity and deception is quite okay if you're delivering propaganda. If we declare that we're pushing propaganda, people won't watch it. So we have to invade popular franchises that already have a groundswell of support and societal trust, and this sort of, we have to invade only those. Well, why don't you create a separate, Doctor Who type program that only features black lesbians? No, we can't do that because no one will watch it. So again, they accept the idea that they have to invade successful straight white male franchises in order to shame and blame straight white males. You're sitting there, your head swimming with trying to sort of get you, but they see it as perfectly acceptable, these folks. Now let's have a look at this woman who's she's straight white woman who's head of the this media development department. They've got huge budgets, and again, she's well paid for doing nothing. I mean, she does fuck all, and yet she's well paid. Now she she's been married 3 times, and she lives in a fantastic house in sort of the fringe of the inner city area. Very desirable postcode, the tree-lined street, the whole 9 yards, and it's quite close to the downtown part of the city. And great transport links, this sort of stuff. It would be, I mean, it's not, it's too concrete junglish for me, but it would be a great place to live, all considered, particularly if you're working downtown, which she is. So she's been married 3 times. The first 2, she married into a family. Both families were very wealthy, and she got a lot of money out of this, and this magnificent. It's 6-bed, 3-bath. 3K garage in the inner city, so it's worth a fucking fortune. It's gazillions. And she owns. She was gifted it. She hasn't contributed to this. She owns the house outright, and also collects. She's got 2 daughters, and she collects child support. They're both at university, the 2 daughters, and she collects child support, which covers their university fees plus a child support amount. So she's collecting well over $100,000 a year in child support. Although again, that has to cover the university fees for the girls. The girls are professional uni students, so they got no intention of working. And as the youngest one says, "Hey, I'm at university for the parties, for the social life. I'm not there." So they're studying like bullshit sociology courses, and they have the same view as the mother that, hey, I'm just there to find a rich guy to marry. But this idea of having to work and so on. So she was the mother. She got the free house, lavishly furnished with antiques, by the way. It's got the free house, and then through their connections, one of the rich husbands or the family, they fixed her up with this job, which suits her perfectly, by the way. She insists she's a victim. Now, the price of the real estate that she owns outright puts her in, the richest in real estate terms. Puts her into the richest 50,000 people in the entire nation. So a very elite sort of club there. And again, the income she has, this do-nothing job for which all she's got to do is sign off on things that hate straight white men. It's not like she's got to do anything, for fuck's sake. She admits herself a whole day is just meetings where they talk about how evil straight white men are. Now, she's an absolute, as far as I'm concerned, she's an absolute parasite. She's built, created, developed, produced nothing in her life. And yet she is, through marriage and divorce, and that's all, she is extremely wealthy, and yet she's almost a nervous wreck. And she says she has to go to full-time sort of psychiatric counseling and so on because of the stress in her life. I mean, I didn't want to sort of make little of it. So I tried to find out, well, what are these stresses? It certainly can't be financial. Is it can't be career-wise? She's effectively got a job for life it's again well paid for doing nothing. So that's not it. What is this stress? The third guy she married had no money. They'd known each other apparently since childhood, and they went to the same school or something. But that lasted sort of 6 months. So her stress, she comes from not being able to find a man that adequately respects her. Now, when she's younger, she would have been quite good looking, I think, but not so much now. And she's certainly not taking care of herself. I mean, she must weigh 250 pounds, I'd figure. But she insists that she's a victim here, and society, the male-dominated society, oppresses her. So again, I tried to come back to this. You've certainly not oppressed financially. You've got, you're living a lavish lifestyle primarily at other people's expense. I didn't say this, but you're a fucking parasite. And again, you've never had to, you never had to worry about money. You've never had to interview for a job. You've never had to hang out with people that you don't know and you don't like in order to get by. And you have none of the stresses that the population has. But because I don't know whether she wants a man to love her or something like that. I guess that could be part of it. But she doesn't. It's not just a case I haven't met someone who I can, a guy who I want to have a relationship. She doesn't couch it that way, phrase it this way. She is oppressed. If she can't, she's an entitled shit. And if she can't get what she wants and have what she wants, or have men doing what they're told to do. So part of this, and this is an interesting bit of psychological stuff, part of the hatred of straight white males is like vengeance and punishment for not having a relationship with a straight white male. Now, why doesn't she go and date one of these black lesbians that she's so desperate to support in her propaganda delivery and so on? But no, it's why doesn't she give up her job for a black lesbian, create a bit of social equity? No, I don't know. Other people have to give stuff up, not me. Why doesn't her daughters give up their position in universities to black lesbians from her? No. My daughter shouldn't have to give anything up. Other people have to. And so she's very much part of this parasitic class. Now, these people who hang around here, they've all got their sociology degrees and so on. And if they're a public servant, or as most of these people are in effect, if they're public servants, their opening comment to you is, if they're introduced to you, hi Billy Bob, where did you go to university? That's like the handshake. Where did you go to? Oh, do you know Professor Jones or Smith? And even if you're talking to someone, who maybe you were introduced to, this is Billy Bob and that's so and so, and you're sitting next to them, people might tend to move around a bit as the lunch or the dinner moves on, or the barbecue. So, and you can be talking to them about something quite innocuous, the weather and I don't know, potholes in the road or something, anything. And they'll look at you, and then suddenly you'll notice that the look on them will change. Where did you go to university? And that'll just suddenly pop out of nowhere. So there's very much this. So your identity is where you went to university and what you studied. That's your identity. You don't exist as a person or an individual or an agent or a person with agency. You don't exist that way. You exist as where you went to university. What placards you waved, what student, demonstrations and protests you attended. That's your identity. You don't have an identity outside of that. Very scary. You've been a Tacitus Delete, your pushback channel. Thank you for listening.